Remember that old feeling when horror movies used to be fun? Like, one minute you're laughing your ass off, then the next minute you're scared and jumping out of your seat, and you can't wait to call your buddy and be like, dude, you gotta see this movie. Man, that used to be the whole point of horror movies. And then somewhere along the way, we lost that. Horror movies just don't feel the same anymore, and today we're digging into exactly why that is. All right, welcome back to AVA Pop Culture, and we are kicking off halfway to Halloween celebration here on this channel today with a look at the difference in horror movies then versus now, what we've lost. Now, it doesn't matter if you're watching this when it's halfway to Halloween or not. Everything in here is true and remains the same no matter when you watch this video. And look, I'm not here to just trash on today's stuff. Some modern horror still has moments that work, but there's been this big holistic shift in the whole genre over the last 15 or so years, from horror that was wild and fun and entertaining and oddly moral, yes, moral, to stuff that is mostly just grief and unrelenting darkness and evil that never gets balanced out by anything good. It used to feel like an experience, something fun that you did, but now it mostly just feels heavy, dark, oppressive, and it wants to make you feel that everything is hopeless and lost. So today, we're going to go back to a different time in horror. And when you're going back in time for horror, you're going back to the golden age, baby. We're talking late 70s, 80s big time, and into the 90s, when horror wasn't trying to win Oscars and be pretentious. It wasn't trying to wreck your mental health for weeks on end, make you sad, make you feel like there's no hope or light or goodness in the world. It was trying to entertain you first and foremost. Fun monsters were actually cool. And yeah, there was a lot of pretty people doing some of the dumbest stuff imaginable because that made it feel relatable. I mean, think about the slasher boom. You've got these good-looking teens, college kids in a suburban house or on spring break or out at Camp Crystal Lake. They're drinking, they're hooking up, they're skinny dipping, they're making every stupid, dumb decision that someone at that age could possibly make. And then, boom, there comes Jason to punish them for it, or Freddy, or Michael Myers. And yeah, sure, it was exploitive as hell, but it felt alive. Those characters felt like real people, not written symbols for something else. The dialogue sounded like something your idiot friends would actually say, particularly if they were drunk or trying to get laid. Let's be honest. You weren't watching like some sort of untouchable superheroes or a Mary Sue character or someone that's infallible or a metaphor for grief and loss and all this kind of stuff. You were just watching versions of you and your friends and definitely that crazy ass buddy that you knew. They were just a little dumber, just a little hornier, and a little more ridiculous. And the monsters had personality. I know, just a crazy concept, right? That's the reason that monsters became icons and people love them. Freddy Krueger wasn't just evil. I mean, he was evil, but he was also a wisecracking nightmare who roasted you and just literally kicked your butt verbally before he killed you. I mean, you remember the "Welcome to prime time, bitch." I mean, he comes out of an old CRT TV with his arms and grabs the girl and brings her in because he takes away her, whole love for MTV and all that. And I mean, he knew what it was to insult you and to roast you and then send you on your way. And then there's Jason, this unstoppable force in a hockey mask. But by the sequels, he's mythic. He is this supernatural being that becomes a ridiculous legend that has funny moments like getting paintball gun. All of those things that we remember that stick out. You loved hating him. You wanted to see what he did next. You knew these stupid people were about to get it. And by the end of the night, good actually won. Another novel concept for today. But the final girl, oh, you could believe she was going to drive that machete home in the bad guy's head. The credits rolled and you walked out of the theater, or you stopped the VHS and you felt pumped. You were excited. It was a fun experience. You went through the catharsis, you went through the entertainment, and you came out the other side feeling good and having fun with what you just watched. And yeah, sometimes there was that last second, ankle grabs, stinger, or Freddy's glove coming up to pull Jason down, or Jason coming out of the lake, or whatever. But that was just teasing the sequel. The ride itself was fun, and you wanted to ride that ride again and again. And that's what made the heavy hitters from back then hit so hard. I mean, everything wasn't just popcorn entertainment. You had stuff like The Exorcist, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and The Omen. And those movies felt like events because everything else was light, entertaining. And these movies stood out because of it. They were dark. They were serious. They felt like events that punched you in the gut because the rest of the baseline was entertainment, not grief therapy, which you get today, not an oppressive feeling that all hope is lost. That is a very, very big difference. Also a very big difference, good was always portrayed in those movies as battling and overcoming evil, even when they were heavy. So that is something that has very much shifted from then to now. Something else that has shifted is the experience with horror itself. That was half the magic, the experience. You didn't just put something on. You went to the theater opening weekend, a midnight showing, and you screamed with 200 other people. You laughed with 200 other people. Or you rode your bike down to the video rental store, that magical place that smelt like old popcorn, carpet, and plastic, and you rented 4 tapes for $5 and 99-cent days for those old catalog titles at Hollywood Video, and you and your buddies would stack those things up on a Friday night. You pop the first one in and you let that night take you wherever you wanted it to go, and the vehicle for that was those movies that you popped in. And then later came the late night cable, late night broadcast before this, but all that stuff was very edited for TV. Elvira in that dress making dirty jokes before she threw on some B movie. Joe Bob Briggs, Monster Vision, counting screen kills, doing drive-in totals, still doing it to this day, treating every single movie like it was the greatest horror piece of entertainment ever made. 4 breasts, 27 dead bodies, 3 counts of aardvarking, and 1 exploding head. But the point is, horror was communal. It was something that we shared. You found it. You shared it. You survived it together. You talked about it together. It was an adventure. You go to school the next day, still buzzing from the weekend, and every kid in the class had seen the same movies. And even if you weren't supposed to, you definitely did it. And that helped it feel like a shared memory. That feeling, that something that made it stick. Now look where we are. Everything has changed, and that started with streaming in a big way. No more waiting for Friday night. No more packed full theater of strangers enjoying these movies, losing their mind, tossing popcorn, reacting together to the film. None of that. No more late night hosts, for the most part, wrapping up with the pun and then saying see you next week. It's all on demand 24/7, and the algorithm knows exactly what you watched last. So if you click on something bleak one time, that's all it's going to feed you. More grief, more nihilism, more evil without any good, more Satan without any God, no final girl moments, no catharsis, just heavy darkness that never really resolves, and it leaves you beat down, feeling like there's no hope out there, which is the definition of hell itself. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here. And that's what they are feeding you again and again. So you don't rewatch those movies for fun. You survive them once, and then you need space. That is not what you really want from something that's supposed to be entertaining. And the craft of horror changed too. We went from practical effects that you could feel, real latex, real blood, real stunts, to stuff that looks so polished and often computer generated that it doesn't have any texture, no grit, no weight to it, no real stakes because you know they're in front of a green screen. Back then, characters used to feel like people that you knew. Now they are often written as metaphors for something, for grief, for womanhood, for this, for that. It's nauseating. Back then, wild ideas got greenlit because studios were not afraid of offending anyone. Not anyone. Matter of fact, if they offended you, all the better, because everyone was going to talk about it. Now everything is much safer, calculated, created by committee, afraid of backlash, all the rough edges sanded off, very polished. Horror used to balance the scares with entertainment, with personality, with humor, with morality tales. It was a ride. Now it's just often about shock without fun, gore without substance, dread without payoff, darker, but not better. We went from those morality tales wrapped in blood and latex and guys in costumes to pure, unrelenting weight and darkness with no light at the end. From the movies that made you want to call your friends and say, you gotta see this, to movies that everyone is sitting in silence, depressed when the credits roll. And for me personally, I miss the fun. I miss the rewatchability. I miss horror that felt like it was on your side, even when it was scaring the hell out of you. Because the best horror doesn't punish you. It doesn't make you feel like the world is ending and there's no hope and everything is grief and horrible and nothing's ever going to get better. It entertains you. It's escapism. It makes you forget everything else, and it makes you go through that process to where you feel better coming out the other side. It gives you that rush of excitement and wonder. That's what great movies do. It connects you with people watching it with you and lets you walk away still loving the ride. But when modern horror gets even a little bit of that old feeling right, it just serves to remind us of exactly how much we've lost, and that's why I still chase it. Look, horror's probably never going to be exactly what it was. Hopefully there'll be a shift back. There's some push, because when you go too far one way, it pushes back the other way. But that era was a special time. The practical craft, the culture around it. But man, we can at least get some of that spirit back. Some monsters that look awesome because they were built by hand, some stupid teenagers making bad choices, some actual good that fights back and actually wins against the evil, because when it hits, and it still can hit, it hits very, very different. But I want to know, what do you think? Did horror lose its sense of fun for you too? Do you look around and see everything is dark, oppressive, miserable, just makes you feel hopeless, makes you feel like everyone is possessed by a demon, makes everything feel dark all the time? Did it lose that sense of fun, sense of morality tales, all of the things that we had in the 80s, 90s, and the late 70s? Does it still make you long for those times? Is that the reason why we're still talking about it all? I hope you enjoyed this. If you want more deep dives like this, stick around. We do them on every subject, but right now we are horror and Halloween focused for halfway to Halloween, and I really do appreciate you hanging out with me. If you really enjoyed this and you want to jump on board, please like and subscribe. That really helps out the channel. If you'd like to do a little bit more, you can join the Patreon. The link is in the description. You'll get your name in lights on every single video. You'll get behind the scenes looks at my horror filmmaking, special members only videos, and so much more. And everything supports what we're trying to do here on this channel. And I've got a ton more coming your way. But thanks for hanging out with me. And as always, be kind, rewind, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
I know.